Welcome to Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast, where we hear real stories from real people and we tackle all sorts of fun topics in the areas of business, marketing, entrepreneurship, mindset, the arts, and, well, life itself. It's amazing what you will pick up. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back, everybody. Darren Saul here. It's Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast, episode 185. I hope everybody's doing well. I have the fantastic Bettina Deda in the house. Hello, Bettina.
Hi, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to this show. Today, everybody, we're going to be chatting about a great concept, Dare to Dance. How to adopt a new perspective of life by embracing change. Now, Bettina was born and raised in Germany, where she worked for 16 years in public relations. In 2008, she moved to Australia with her husband and two boys, 6 and 3 years old, and started a new chapter in her life. She started her creative journey and immersed herself in design, art, writing, and dancing. At the end of 2016, age 51, a 90-minute massage literally changed her life and became the catalyst for change in 2017. She decided to separate from her husband of 23 years, started an online business alongside her content writing work, and made the courageous decision to go back to dance school. Bettina's memoir has just been published. It's called Dare to Dance. So Bettina, wow, what a story. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, I can't wait to get into this content because, I'm always fascinated by mindset and, how people react to things in life and how they turn their life around and, use positivity and use their drive to keep going forward. But before we get into all that, I'd love to hear your story and particularly what happened in that massage.
You're not the only one asking that. I know it sounds so cheesy, like in a bad soap opera. Now, look, it's maybe I'll just start a bit early. Well, you mentioned already. So I'm originally from Germany, and I had, I was quite happy with my life there. I was married, I had 2 boys, I had a great job, everything was sort of settled and, going along nicely. So you kind of think that's it. But I had always this feeling I wanted to work more creatively and do more creative stuff. Yep. But like life happens and I never really did it. I worked in PR, in techno, in the tech space, in IT, and I liked my job, but it was not really creative in that sense, So, and when my husband at the time came home one day in 2007 and said, look, then I have to say, he's German Australian. So he was born here in Australia, but we met in Germany.
Oh, wow.
And he said, look, I got a job offer in Sydney. And I knew when we met, he never made that like a secret or something. He said, look, I don't want to spend my whole life here in Germany. He was in Europe for 16 years or so overall. And I said, at some point, I want to go back to Australia. My retirement, I want to spend in Australia. Anyway, so I knew, that would come at some point. And anyway, it happened then in 2007. And so I thought, and this was, at first I thought, oh my God, what is now going? But then we kind of, looked at it from different angles, and our older son was just in 2008 would have started school, and we thought, it's maybe a good time now, and he can start school in Australia.
Yeah. And by the way, what did your husband do, just so I know?
He's a finance director. At the time, he was also in IT. Right. Usually he was most of his, I think, career was in IT and software businesses, but finance. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So anyway, so and I felt, and that was the first thing, and I only realized, like that also only came back to me when I started writing about my life. I realized at that when I thought I had this feeling I have to do this now because this is my chance. If I don't do this now, I will sit forever in that job. I would still be working there, I guess. And And I just feel I have to do it. Anyway, so we said, okay, let's do it. So
Wow.
we kind of organized everything, and it took about 8 months. And then we sold everything in Germany, like a house, the cars, everything, you know. We didn't want to have like one foot in Germany and one foot here in Australia. Yeah. And so we came here. And for me, that was a total, a new chapter in my life, literally, because I left everything behind what that meant something to me, you know, sure. Like my friends, my family, my job, my career, whatever. And for my husband, he was only coming home and starting a new job in another city, basically, you know. So anyway, but what that then did was I sort of had to reinvent myself. And I thought, this is my chance. I'm doing some creative stuff now. I had no idea what that was. And so I started literally doing art classes. Okay. I always wanted to do art classes. I never got around in Germany. So I went to different art schools, Julian Ashton, in Manly to an artist. Then I was in a national art school. I did like these courses you can do over a term or a weekend.
Were you an artist as a kid? Did you do art?
Oh, no.
Never.
No. But I have a very arty, creative family. Okay. A few of my uncles are architects and kind of in that creative, you know, they're all good at drawing and painting. So there was something in the family, but I never got around to do it somehow. Okay. Yep. And then I ended up after that year, that was the first year we were here in 2009 or so, I ended up at the International School for Color and Design. And there I started, you know, I studied color and design, like this is sort of TAFE-like thing, you know, like it went a part-time or full-time course. It went over 1.5 years. I did a color design diploma, and which then kind of encouraged me to self-publish my first book, Downsize with Style. It was in 2014. So I did that. And then I started writing. And that came from all of, you know, it kind of evolved. It came out of from the book publishing story. I started writing house features for design magazines, and which then led to my copywriting work, what I'm doing now. So
you're obviously always very creative and very artistic, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Writing, art. I mean, you had that flair always.
But that was, and I said that in my book, Australia has treated me well, because I would never have done all of that stuff in Germany. Okay. I know that. I had this feeling. So I kind of explored all these things. And in 2015, I had this feeling I wanted to write about my life. And that is when my creative writing journey started, and we can talk about that a bit later, because what if people want to write a book or so, what can help them. So I did that. I started writing, and then in 2016, that was this year, you know, it was a bit of a weird year, like, you know, the whole year was a bit crazy. I don't know, in different areas of my life, I thought, what is going here and happening there, and I don't know, and whatnot. And then I entered like this unsettling phase of menopause for women.
Right, yeah.
And it was all came together. And anyway, so we went to this wellness retreat in the hinterland of Byron. And the first time, I was there several times before, but the first time actually my husband went with me. And so I had the moment we stepped on this property, I knew something was going to happen. It was all very spiritual and really strange to me. And I had no idea what actually happened, but I got these messages and I heard things and people said something. And I was like,
my God.
Yeah, it was really kind of a bit scary almost, because I was not used to this sort of, you know.
Wow.
And then I had this massage, as I said, on the very symbolic, on the 31st of December in 2016, last day of the year. I had
my God, on 31st of December. Oh my God.
Kahuna massage. And I had no idea like 2 days before, I had no idea what a kahuna massage is, but I had some, you know, I did some Googling, and I had the guy who did the massage actually before that in a normal relaxation massage. We had a package. Anyway, I spoke to the receptionist in the spa and said, what is this kahuna thing about? And she said, this is a very interesting treatment. It's like very spiritual. It's comes from Hawaii. It's used for rites of passages for when teenagers, when you grow into in a different state in your life, Anyway, and I said, okay, I want to have that. I want to do that.
Do they use particular chemicals or?
No. But it's a different style of massage. It's a dance, actually.
Oh, really?
It is a spiritual dance, and the therapists who are trained in kahuna, there is several levels. There is a big, a great or very well-known institute in Queensland that trains, where all the therapists I had in Australia in kahuna, they have all been there. Anyway, so it's as I said, it's a different style of massage. The therapists work with their hands and arms, and also across the whole body. It's not like normally if you go to a massage, it's very isolated. They do start on the back and then do a leg and another leg and the arm, and this one is literally, it goes across the whole body at the same time. It's kind of a different style, and it's literally, it's a dance. And I will never forget, this is chapter 1 of my book. It's called A Conversation Without Words.
Love it.
And I don't want to go into too much detail because this is like if we get too sidetracked, I guess, but people can read about it. I try to describe it as authentically as it was and what I felt. But for me, it was so profound. And I didn't know at the time that I had actually a spiritual awakening, because I was never very spiritual. But I have to say, when I came here to Australia, I started right in 2010, I started practicing yoga. Okay. And I've been at that point, I have been practicing for 7 years already.
Wow.
And I did a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation, which I never done in Germany. I learned all of it. So I kind of...
You really kind of opened your way to receive... the antennas to receive spiritual messages.
Yeah, I know. And so I was the only thing, I felt like I felt something I had never felt before. It was at one point, I always say that it sounds so weird, but I felt like the therapist and we are one person. There was a total soul connection. And anyway, so the massage went by, 90 minutes. And then I was so confused. He said, how are you? Are you feeling okay? And he said, it can be very, kahuna massage can have a very extreme reactions in people. Some start to cry, some are totally euphoric and whatnot. And I was very peaceful. I was so peaceful. And I said, but I didn't say that to him. He then went off to his next guest, and I was sitting there. And the only thing in my head was like, something is going to change. Something is going to change.
This knew that was a trigger that had been set.
It was like a tape, but I couldn't make sense of it. So next day we are flying home, and I was so confused that I could not do anything. My children drove me crazy. The boys, I said, just leave me alone. I couldn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, I get crazy. I need to talk to someone. And that's when I then, I remembered I had met a life coach a couple of months earlier in a networking group. And I thought, I need to call this woman. I remember as a teacher, I need to talk to someone. And so I started working with her. And that was not easy either, because, and then now we are in 2017. This was my biggest year of change. And that is basically the core of the memoir as well.
Right.
We worked through a lot of stuff. It was not comfortable. It was awful at times, but after 3 months, I realized what was going to change. And that was that my marriage had come to an end a long time ago.
And you never had any perception of that? You never thought anything about that before?
Of course I did. And I remember I was journaling when I started writing my book in 2015. I started journaling a lot, and at some point, and I still have that journal, I have all my journals, I wrote in that book for myself, where is my marriage going? I knew there was something, but you know how it is. I mean, maybe you don't know, but I came from Germany with my husband. I thought, what the heck am I going to do? I can't leave this marriage. What am I going to do? What happens with my children? And I was like, it was so scary. And how can I survive by myself in Sydney? It's so expensive, you know, like all the stuff in my head. And I kept just suppressing the emotions and the topic at all. I never spoke to my husband about it, which was not great either. You know, I mean, it was how it was. But this massage was such a catalyst for change, and it brought up, I knew now it's done. I can't keep pretending any longer that I'm the happily married wife and mother and whatnot. Because the people around us, they all thought we are the happiest, you know, couple, and it's all nice. You know, we have a nice house here on the northern beaches and 2 nice children, and everything looked great. And so
outside, everybody felt fantastic.
You don't know what people, that's how I say, you don't know people's stories. They can look as great as what's going on. And even my husband even didn't know it. You know, it was not that I just had that in me. And so with that work with the life coach, I'm so grateful for this woman at the time. Without her, I could not have managed that year, you know. She helped me with so many things. And I did so much work on myself, which was so uncomfortable. Oh my God. It was like,
sure it was.
Sometimes I didn't want to go back. I thought, no, I'm not going back to this thing. This is like the session was so awful. What's going to happen this week? You know,
how often did you see her? Once a week? Or?
Yeah, in the beginning it was once a week, almost. I'd say for the first 3 months or so. But then when I had this clarity that I wanted to leave my marriage, and she was like, the day I said to her, I said one morning, I said, you know what? I know now what's going on here. I'm done with this marriage. It's over. It has been over for a long time. And she only said, I was waiting for you to tell me that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But then it was scary, super scary again, because I said, what am I now doing? You know,
to a new country with your family. Everything was new job, new world. And now you're.
And also then, you know, the scary thing to talk to my husband. Well, obviously I needed to talk to him, you know, I could not assume he would get that at some point, you know.
That's right.
I mean, I don't want to go too much into detail about that, but I talked to him obviously, and then the year went on. It was very challenging, but it was, luckily we found an amicable solution. And we are still, just to calm everyone down, we're still friends now. You know, it took a while, but we are now, it's 4 years ago, you know, or longer, even 5 years. So it's, you know, we got divorced then a year later or so, and we are still friends, and we look after our sons who are now like grown up, 20 and 17. It's all good, and it was the right decision. But and going back at the time, it was very scary.
I mean, obviously you went to the life coach.
Exactly.
That was also a therapeutic process, but you had to obviously do a lot of work on yourself. Where did you find the strength? Where did you find the skills? And, to embrace change, to empower that whole process?
So look, definitely in my yoga community. At the time in 2017, I was literally every morning in the yoga studio, and this place was for me, and that whole atmosphere, that spiritual element of yoga. And then also I read a lot of Buddhist books.
Okay, great.
I very much, I grew up a Christian, you know, I'm christened and whatever. I was not very super religious, but I am Christian, and so I believe in something. Not that it's God as such, but there is when I've discovered the Buddhist philosophy of life, for me it's a religion, a world religion, but I don't see it so much as a religion. It's
Buddhism is a philosophy as well.
How you live, and I was like, literally, what's the word, like I couldn't get enough books, you know, reading from Buddhist monks and nuns and whatnot. And that helped me a lot. And then I started journaling a lot, you know, so I literally, that was my, every night I would write everything that was in my head in this journal. I have tons of journals from all that time. And it was kind of helping me as if I talked to a friend, you know, or someone. I could just write everything. That was the thing. And then also, yeah, a lot of meditation and just mindfulness, and trying to, one strategy that the coach, she recommended, and that was a really good recommendation, was not to kind of look too far ahead, like one day at a time.
Take it one step at a time. Yeah.
Because I got, like, literally in March, when I decided, okay, I need to talk to my husband, there's no way around that. I had no idea. I did not know where I would be at Christmas.
Yeah.
And this scared me because I'm German, I'm quite organized. I like to know where I'm going. You know, this sort of, it doesn't really matter mentality. That's not me. Like let's just live every day and we'll see how it goes. Yep. So the moment I started thinking about 6 months down the line, I got totally panic attacks, you know, like, oh my God, no, I can't do this. So I can't literally said, okay, let's do tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow? And I literally went one by one. And yeah, so and then I realized it, and that's the thing, when you kind of make a decision to embrace change, which is uncomfortable because we are all change resistant, most people, you know, it's kind of, we don't know, and whatnot.
We all run away from change as fast as we can.
Yeah, but it's the moment, and yoga, again, the yoga community and the teachers, one of the guys at the time said in one of the classes, we learn not to let uncertainty turn into fear.
Oh, I like that.
And and that was what happened to me. I'm getting all the time in that year. Every time I needed to hear something, someone said it somewhere. Wow. And so I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Don't let uncertainty turn into fear. And so I wrote all that down, you know, or one said, then another one said, like, you know, if you get thrown in the middle of a fire, because life throws you all these curveballs and whatnot, as a yoga practitioner, or you know, you learn how to sit in that space and kind of think about between an event that happens to you and your response. There is this space where you can make a decision how you want to react. Yes. So you know, you learn to sort of detach and kind of step back and think, okay, this just happened. Yeah. What am I now doing? Yep. Do I react like crazy and scream at people, or do I kind of think about it? And so there was all that stuff, you know, over the year, and I got these little tips and things, and I thought, oh my God, this is good. Yeah, I need to take that on.
But you know what the interesting thing is? The interesting thing is that we all hear these things around us all the time, but we don't listen to them. Whereas you were obviously hypersensitive at that point, at that period, to welcoming these messages. Your antennas were up, and you heard and you heeded all these interesting little bits of philosophical wisdom, and you actually embraced them. Yeah.
And I guess that is, but that was how the situation I was in. I knew I just needed to keep walking that really rocky road, or whatever you want to call it, or tunnel. And I knew at some point there will be light at the end of this tunnel, and I will come out of it. But I just have to trust. And that's also Buddhist philosophy, trust and have faith that it will all happen for you when the time is right. And I mean, one other really simple example, like when I then said, okay, I want to separate from my husband. And then the next panic attack came 5 seconds later. Oh my God, I need a lawyer. I never worked with a family lawyer. Oh my God, what is that? How is that going to be? And you know, like,
how much is that going to cost? And what else do I have to do? And oh my God,
I don't know anyone. And then Karina said, don't worry. What about, have a think about, who do you know who got divorced? And then I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4. And literally, I went into some good friends, and I said, you know, when you got divorced, which lawyer did you have? And it didn't take long. I asked 2 or 3 girls I know, or women who got divorced in the last 5 years prior, and I found the best lawyer on this planet.
Wow,
And one of my friends said, you don't have to go anywhere else. He's the one. He's amazing.
Brilliant.
And it was, I went and I thought, oh my God, that was easy. I booked a consult, and he said, he asked me why I wanted to separate, as typical questions. And I just told him the story. And then in that first 1.5 hours or 2 hours, it was, he said, this is your case. This is what can happen, A, B, or C, or whatever, And I said, great, okay. I was felt totally relieved because I knew
you had a roadmap,
the directions.
Exactly. Yep.
And then I said, okay. And he said, okay, if you need me, call me. And then I literally called him about 4 weeks later, when that was all in that year. And at some point, when I talked to my husband, then it all started with the lawyers. But just as an example, that was how it happened. There was always stuff coming when I needed it. And this year, like the whole year, that made my belief in this whole Buddhist philosophy is so strong.
Yeah.
There's
a great saying. I don't know if it's Buddhist or not, but it's a great saying I always remember. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, I know.
It's so true.
So I kind of, it's just lived by these guidelines, and then I kept going, and then now we're coming to the dancing. That was a year later. So basically, end of 2017, the lawyer stuff was sorted out, and then my husband actually went with our sons to Adelaide to his mother, and for a week or so after Christmas, and I was alone at home, and I knew, we knew already we would need to sell our house, at some point, and I knew it wasn't far away. So it was for me this kind of saying goodbye to the house thing. Yeah. And I think it was on the 1st of January. I was thinking, I was sitting there by myself thinking, oh, I just watched some nice movie. And I opened the CD drawer.
It was Dirty Dancing.
No. Strictly Ballroom.
Strictly Ballroom. All right. Great.
Because I knew, we had a few DVDs, and I thought, this is a fun movie. I watched that. There's dancing and music. And while I was watching this, I heard this voice in my head, and it said, go back to the dance school. And I thought, oh my God, this is it.
And had you danced in Germany, or had you danced here?
Yeah, I danced when I was 15. In Germany, they still have this tradition. You go to a dance school and you learn the basics of waltz and, some basic standard dances. And I remember I loved it at the time, but no one, when you are 15, 16, that is so uncool, ballroom dancing, no one did it. And I was then I just didn't do it, anymore. And we did our course there, and then we had a little ball at the end. It was amazing, but that was it. And then, but I have to say, when I came here to Australia in 2009, I came through a dance studio. And not a ballroom dance. They did jazz dance and other style of dancing,
Latin and other things, ballet.
But they had there was a salsa class, and a guy came in who has a salsa school. He's on the Central Coast in Gosford, and so I started learning salsa, and I thought, this is cool. I like that so much. So I went to salsa socials, and so I for a year in Manly here, and I just danced salsa.
Wow. Salsa's
but
beautiful.
Then, I stopped again. But I still had these shoes. So on that day, I thought, where are my dance shoes? So literally, that was from 2009, and then or 10. It was then 2018. The shoes were somewhere in a cloth bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I found them again, put them on, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to a dance school. And then I Googled dance schools on the northern beaches, straight up while the movie was still on, basically.
Oh my God.
And a day or 2 days later, I was in a dance school.
That's it. So you have a lot of, regimented ways in terms of how you live, but at the same time, you're extremely impulsive in the way that as soon as you come to some kind of epiphany, you act on it really quickly.
I knew that was one of these things. I knew I need to. That's it. I do that.
So, Bettina, why do you think expressing yourself in all these different artistic practices is a way of therapy for you?
Oh, well, writing and dancing can be very healing. And I realized that with the writing, which I started in 2015, you know, like you go through it's a journey, and some of the things I wrote initially, they never came into the book.
Yeah.
You write about all sorts of topics that you think you want to write about, but at the moment when you're writing, you don't actually know why you are writing about it.
That's
you
right.
know, it can be actually some of the chapters or the things I wrote. I still have everything I wrote. The teacher always said, never ditch anything, keep it somewhere, because you never know what it can become at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or if it goes in your book, or maybe it's a blog post, or maybe it's something else, but don't throw or delete your writing. So I have all my previous manuscript versions and chapters that are just, some are just random chapters. You write about it, and then, yes, you know, I mean, I was also part of a writing group, and so sometimes the other writer said, oh, this is actually great, this could go there. Oh yeah, really? So, you know, it's everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And so the writing, and especially memoir writing, I've done, to get started, I've done a couple of classes with the Australian Writers Centre.
Okay.
And I'm still friends and with my writing group, we still work together. Like we met in these classes in 2015, and now 7 years later, we still are meeting. It's a core group of 5-6 people, and they're all memoir writers. And some of them have really dramatic stories. You know, mine is not that dramatic. It's kind of interesting and spiritual, but I didn't have any domestic violence or abuse or whatever. But some of the people go through a lot in their childhood or when they grow up or whatever happens to them. So it's very healing, and helps everyone to work through their whatever situation, you know. And so that is the writing, and we talked about that in the writing classes as well, you know, that the teacher, she's a memoir author, has published several books, and the one I did my initial courses with, and later on, over the years, I attended workshops and writers festivals, and you know, like stuff from in the industry, and you learn from everything. But it's definitely he has a healing side of things. The same as painting, art is used for, you know, people with mental health issues or whatever. You know, art is very therapeutic, or can be. But the dancing
for you is obviously a big thing as well.
Yeah, when the dancing came much later, so it didn't all happen at the same time. As I said, when I had this thing, I went to the dance school and was totally hooked on day one. Literally, for like 3 days later, after my email, I was at my first lesson. And I realized how much I loved it all my life and never did it. And I said, now I'm doing it no matter what. And that's what I've done then, you know. And now I'm training quite a lot. I'm dancing competitions. And
wow. And what style of dancing are you focusing on right now?
I do ballroom international now. So I learned with Arthur Murray, that's an American style, smooth and rhythm. There's a different way of dancing, American style, and the international, the competitions, you dance international style ballroom, and it's only a certain amount of dancers. You know, there's a standard dance like waltz, foxtrot, tango, and then you have Latin dances, cha-cha, rumba, samba, jive, and paso doble, and these are the dances for the competitions. And so I'm dancing pro-am with different coaches. It's fun, you know, and I'm very like the dancing is also, oh my God, I wrote a whole chapter on what dancing means to me. And it's literally the most important thing, what I realized, it's my fountain of joy, I call it.
Wow.
Because it just makes me happy to dance.
Yep.
Whatever it is, you know, I do also still the street Latin stuff like salsa and bachata. I learned a lot of dances in Arthur Murray, which I'm now not dancing anymore actively, but it's it just brings me so much joy, and I'm always happy in the dance school or afterwards. It's like, yeah,
it's extremely social as well. You get to meet this whole community and become part of this, you know, more intimate community of people, and you share all these experiences. And
that's the other thing. It is socializing. It is mindfulness, because
it is.
I hardly talk to my teacher when we are dancing, because I can't, when you do, like when you drive your car and you talk to your wife or your partner and say, oh yeah, and you drive subconsciously somewhere and it's all okay. But with the dancing, I have to concentrate so much on all these 5 million things I have to concentrate on, because it's a full body workout. It is so detailed. It looks like nothing. A lot of people, that looks easy, you know. Good luck with that. Try it, you know. It is not easy. It is very demanding physically and mentally. And so it's almost a meditation sometimes, because you have to concentrate so much on whatever you're just learning at that moment. And then it's fitness, of course. Because, you know, Latin, jive, cha-cha, they are full-on dances. You need stamina. You need to practice that you keep, you know, can dance the time that is required. And it's so, and it's draining for the brain. I mean, there's lots. You just need to Google the benefits of dancing. You get tons of articles, research, what have been done. You know how good it is for brain health and keeping young and whatnot.
And also because it really exercises the brain, because you're constantly trying to remember all these different steps and moves. And,
it is very, sometimes I'm so mentally exhausted after the lessons that I think, oh my God, I need a break now. You know, it's so, so many details, and it's never ending. I guess like in every sport, because what I do is not just social dancing, it's dance sport. It's, you learn something and you think, oh, now I managed to do this, that is now looking great. And then my coach comes, okay, now we are doing this, we're putting another layer on top. And I said, what? And then we just start all over again, you know.
Oh my God.
It is like, I had this today, I had a lesson. I usually have my lessons at lunchtime because my dance school is a bit further away, and this is the only way the traffic is kind of manageable. And I said, I feel like we stepped up a notch in the level what we are dancing. He said, yeah, but now I feel like I'm, you know, back to square one, because it's new, and it's a new level I'm on, and it goes ding, 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 ding.
It's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It seems to be that in a lot of pursuits of that nature.
So that is what the dancing means to me a lot. And it's just and now I decided I never give that up again. As long as I can, I'm going to be dancing. And
that's amazing.
And this is like what I'm saying, I found it through this challenging time, you know.
So it became your therapy.
And so but that was then in 2018, and this whole massage and the dancing then changed also the trajectory of my manuscript. You know, I started literally adding other things and then kind of reshuffling everything.
And why did you begin to write your memoir in the first place? Because it's becoming quite a popular thing to do, but not everybody wants to go and do that.
It was literally, it's also a really interesting story. I came across a book called Memento,
Oh, yeah.
which is from a guy in the US. It's like a journal form, and
Right.
it has 130 questions about your life. And it's kind of made like a journal, you know, there's a question, you can fill it out in that book. And I came across that somewhere through someone in end of 2014. And I thought this is kind of interesting. And I started filling it out. It took me like 3 months, you know, every night I would fill out one question or whatever, you know, and had it on my bedside table. But then I realized how many gaps I had in my knowledge about my family history, my parents' life, you know, how they grew up. And I thought, this is not good, you know. I was like, I don't know, it just felt really strange. And I thought, I need to research that. And then and that was it's a bit like the dancing. I made it my New Year resolution in 2015 that I'm going to start writing about my life. I had no idea how to do it. And
wow.
So the first thing I did, I Googled writing courses.
Yep. How do you write your memoir?
And I ended up I thought best thing is to seek professional help and get started properly, other than, you know, wasting months and weeks and write what they were doing it wrong. So I did a life writing class, as I said, and then 8 months later in August, I did the advanced life writing class with the same teacher.
Right. Wow.
And that was like, and she was amazing. She said, okay, first of all, you need to get into a daily habit of writing, because otherwise you never get a manuscript together. Like of a substantial size of 80,000 words or so. This is a lot. If you have never done any long form writing.
For sure.
And that's why I thought, oh my God, how am I getting to 500 words, you know, like what, 1,000, you know, like a chapter or 2,000 words. And so she said, get into a daily habit, and you need to carve out the time, and something else needs to go. So I stopped watching TV, and instead I was reading and writing, you know. So.
And was that in any particular time of the day? Did you set a particular time of day that you wrote every single day?
Yeah, in the morning between 5 and 6.
But because a lot of people say that they do it early morning.
I'm a morning person, and usually my sons at the time, they were younger still, and at 6 I was usually in the kitchen making lunch boxes and breakfast, like what every mom does, you know. And so I thought, okay, I can't do that at night, because I knew my brain I'm not a night person. So I said I have to get up an hour earlier. So I got up at 5 and went into the office and kind of got into this habit. And in the evenings, because the other thing that this lady said to us, you need to read widely, not only memoirs and biographies, but also other stuff. So I thought, oh my God, when do I do that? So I squeezed it in the evening. I stopped watching TV. I went to bed earlier and read every night, you know, like half an hour or whatever.
It inspired you to write in different ways. It inspired you how to construct your own.
You need to read, because I don't know how many memoirs. I have a bookshelf full of memoirs and biographies, but you read that stuff, and then you think, this is because you do the writing courses, you get an eye for the structure, how authors do stuff. And then you see, and sometimes in books, I thought, this is a cool structure, you know, like doing exchanging timelines, or, you know, swapping, like, you know, go back and forward, or is it all chronological, or how do authors write a prologue, or, you know, what do they do? And it's so you learn from all of that. It's
wow.
So that's the thing. And the other tips, what I kind of learned in that whole time, is really surround yourself with like-minded people. For me, was my writers group.
And that's usually the case. A lot of writers that I speak to always write together in a writers group, or they're always in very close contact with other writers doing a very similar project.
Yeah, and this is also, you know, it was not like I invented that. That came out of that writing class. You know, that she said, look, writing groups are amazing, and find some people you connect with. And obviously memoir writing is very vulnerable and authentic. So you're not making up stuff, you're writing about yourself and your life. And so we then all decide, okay, we want to, because you know, there was a few people in that class which we got along well, and then we kind of thought, okay, let's form this memoir group, and there's no other genres, just memoir writing. And so that helps, because they know people who are not writing have no idea how hard or challenging it can be to write a manuscript.
Oh, of course.
You know, it's a different thing if you write a blog of 500 words, or
even that's challenging enough.
I know, yeah. Or you have to make a whole manuscript going, and then that was, you know, the habits, the people, and then mindset. It's coming back again. You need to have, like, you need to be like having the blinkers like on and just keep going, because you see my story, it took me 7 years to find a publisher, a commercial publisher. And last year I was at the point where I thought, okay, if now I pitched again to X amount of publishers, you know, if that is not working, I need to self-publish or whatever. I didn't want to do it again, and then that's now another really cool story. My publisher is none of the publishers I had on my list. It's actually came through a dancer friend.
Oh, wow.
A ballroom dancer. And he saw one of my posts about my book and that I was looking for a publisher. And then he messaged me, and I didn't even know that guy very well. I met him once in another dance school, and he said, hey, do you need an introduction to another publisher? And I said, why not? You know, can't harm now. And he said, you know, I think you met him, Max, already. And now then it dawned on me, I had actually met this guy at a competition last year in April, but I didn't know who he was. And Kevin only said briefly, oh, that's a friend of mine, Max. But I didn't know he was a publisher. I didn't know he was German. So funny.
Oh, really?
And anyway, he connected us. He said, yeah, send me what you have, you know, your synopsis and your bio and whatnot. So I sent the stuff, and then like 6 or 8 weeks later, I get an email last year in October. Yeah, we read it. We are interested in publishing it. I thought, this is unreal.
After 7 years, amazing.
Anyway, so, and as I was saying, it's just you need to keep going, even if it's like looks like totally desperate. It is the commercial publishing land is very challenging. You know, if you're not a famous person, or which I'm not, you know, it's almost impossible to get a publishing deal, or, you know, to get it stay, because it's a business. Publishers are business people. They want to know that they can make some money from it somehow, you know.
And what do you say about self-publishing? How do you compare that?
Oh, I didn't want to do it again. It is a business in itself. I mean, at the time, I did literally the whole project management. I sourced my illustrator, my book designer, the printer. And then you think it's done when you have the copies. I mean, at the time, I didn't do print on demand as such. I actually had 500 copies printed, and they were sitting in my garage in 2014 in March. And I was looking, I remember that I looked at this palette and thought, okay, now how are we getting this out of the garage?
That's,
you know?
Right.
And then it started. It's a business in itself.
Yes. What was your first book about?
Oh, it was a business book, like a practical style guide for people downsize from houses to apartments. Right. That's what, after my studies, you know, in the design school, so it has a 5-step process. It's quite practical with tips and stuff, how to do it. But I had to literally, what I did then, I found myself a distributor, which was already great. So they took most of the copies on and got it into the bookshops. But I also went, like, literally in the mall in Berkeley. I said, hi, I'm living here. I wrote this book. Would you take it on? And some of the bookshops did. So I had to deal with the bookshop. It's like, but it is a never ending thing. And I just thought, no, I don't want to do that again.
And then when you have a publisher do it for you, they look after the promotion and the distribution.
Yeah, well, they look after what they do is they take the printing costs, they print, they design the cover, they do all of that, but they don't do a lot of promotion these days either. Okay. That is like, forget about that. As an author, even if you have a big publisher, you have to do stuff yourself, and I mean, was very clear in my contract. Even I mean, and the publisher I have, it's called MW. No, I'm also, it confuses me. It's MBW Publishing
MBW
Enterprises. They are based in Germany.
Okay.
It's not a big publishing house, and they have a few titles. So I knew they would not, but I was happy that I get that book published and they get it through their distribution channels, and so now I just need to do more promotion, and that's why I asked you, about the podcast, and I'm going to a charity event in May here in a local charity, and where they said I can also have a table and sell some books,
Fantastic. No, you should go to writers' festivals and all sorts of things.
Yeah, you have to do a lot yourself. Yeah. It's still time consuming, but I mean, I'm so happy now. I can't wait to have a copy finally that this project is out, because I my writing group always said, oh, don't you want to start something new while you're waiting? I said, I can't, my head is somehow blocked.
You still need to see this to fruition before you can start something.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to get that out somehow before I can sort of, well, I have to do some promotion and marketing stuff, but it's kind of, then I'm almost like a blank canvas, and I can start something new if I want, so yeah.
Wow, Bettina, what a story. My God.
It's
and what do you think you learned through your own writing process of this memoir? Was there anything, you must have learned a lot about yourself?
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my, that's a big question. Yeah, look, it's I guess there's three things that I also learned in my business. It's how you show up to things, it's like you need belief, attitude, and commitment in a way. So believe first and foremost in yourself that you can actually do it. And that is one of the hardest things people have. A lot of people don't believe they can do a thing or whatever. They have a dream, but they think they never get there. And that is so, that's so important, really, to work on your mindset. I still do daily personal development. I read books always, working on myself. And
great.
That is one thing. And just never give up, like having this attitude of keep going and be grateful for what you learn along the way, and that you show up every day. And
definitely, mindset is so important.
Yeah, and then being committed to something. And that is something I'm now helping people who want to write a book. I have a couple of clients who ask me if I can edit their book and help them with the whole process. And I always say you need to have 150% commitment, because if that is just, maybe I'll do it one day, a bit, you will never get that manuscript together. You need to say, okay, this is now priority for a few months. I sit down every day or every second day or every week or whatever, and I need to get some words on this paper. And and get into a habit, because if you're not committed, that's with everything, I guess, in life. If you're not committed, really, you don't do it, you think, it's never priority. And so I think that is, was a big learning.
But it must be incredibly rewarding and incredibly nourishing to finally see this book and say, wow, that's my life.
I know. I'm still, for me, it's still a bit like weird because I don't have the copies, but I get next week, as the publisher said, they are organizing this print on demand thing here for me in Sydney, so that they don't have to ship the copies around the world.
Right.
And so I'll get some, hopefully by end of next week or so.
Lovely.
A box of, you will see it on social media when I unpack it.
I love it. Well, Bettina, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed that discussion and that deep dive into your story. You've obviously extremely passionate about writing and about exploring all your different artistic practices.
Yeah.
And kudos to you for, taking the initiative and committing to doing what you did, because you've done an incredible job. And I look forward to seeing the book.
Yeah, just maybe if people want to have get some notification when it's available, they can go on my website. It's bettinadeda.com, and there is a little form to fill out. Yeah,
definitely. So I'll make sure I put the links to that in the show notes. Everybody, please check out Bettina's new book, Dare to Dance. And we'll put the link to to be able to register on her website for that book, and keep in touch with everything else she does. And any other tips or strategies for our listeners? Anything else you want to leave them with?
Oh my God. I guess going back to the topic of change, it's this if you are in a pivotal, is that the right word, moment in your life where there's something is going, in which direction do I go? I guess it's like the two options are only, there's one, if you can become a victim of your circumstances and just do nothing, or to embrace change and go for it, and take all the opportunities that come with it, because there are opportunities opening up when you make a decision to change something.
Love that. And as well, in your own story, don't always do it alone. You can get help.
Yeah.
Don't always have to take everything on by yourself. Yeah, there are people to help you, and there are people to guide you. Yeah. I love it. Well, Bettina, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I've had a fascinating discussion. What a story. And I hope the audience loved that as much as I did. We covered so much interesting material. So check out her book. It will be out very, very soon. And everybody, enjoy the day, enjoy the week, and we'll be back for another episode of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you, Darren. Bye.
Thanks again for joining me for another episode of Playing with Perspective, the Suspended Animation Podcast. If you would like to join me as a guest on the show, I would be delighted to collaborate. Feel free to buzz me on 0414 659 800 or email me on darren@suspendedanimation.com.au. I'm always on the lookout for great guests who can share their stories and expertise with my community. Also, if you have been thinking about putting your own podcast together and not sure where to begin, look no further. I run a really simple 3-part podcasting course, one-on-one with me, where I walk you through the entire podcasting journey. You will end up with a fantastic new podcast to start sharing right away. Feel free to get in touch to discuss further. But for now, though, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.